This is going to be a mammoth day of summits. So we're going to start out with the NATO summit in the morning. That's going to be with the 30 prime ministers and presidents of NATO. They're going to be discussing the military aspects. So what aid and equipment can be sent to Ukraine, and also how they're going to change NATO's plan to send more troops over to the eastern flank. Specifically, they're expected to immediately approve 4 new battle groups that will go to Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, and Slovakia. They will join the 4 existing NATO battle troops in Poland and the Baltics. We heard from NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg yesterday that this will mean that NATO has a kind of phalanx from the Baltic Sea all the way down to the Black Sea. That involves 100,000 U.S. troops and 40,000 troops directly under NATO control. And that's designed to, as Stoltenberg keeps putting it, make sure there's no misunderstanding in Moscow about NATO's readiness to defend those NATO countries. But they're also going to be talking about what equipment they can send to Ukraine to defend it from chemical weapons attacks, which they're increasingly worried about, but also biological attacks and even nuclear attacks. They are expected to be speaking with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky via video and to hear more about what Ukraine needs from the Western military alliance. Then 6 of those 30 NATO leaders are going to have a G7 summit there at NATO headquarters. They will be joined by the Japanese Prime Minister, who has also come to Brussels, and they will be talking about the economic aspects of this, how they can protect economies from inflation and also from worries of food shortages, because this is causing disruption to global food supply. Then finally, 27 of those leaders will be moving over from NATO into the EU quarter of Brussels for an EU summit. U.S. President Joe Biden will be joining that EU summit as a guest. 3 NATO leaders will not be going to that EU summit. That is Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, although he was invited to the European Parliament yesterday to speak, and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. That's been controversial. The UK was apparently expecting him to be invited, but he wasn't. After over the weekend, he compared Ukraine's struggle against Russia to Britain's struggle against the EU in Brexit. So at that EU meeting, they're going to be, I think, on this first day today, going to be focused on energy. Biden is going to be leaning on the Europeans to cut imports of oil and gas from Russia, as the U.S. has done. That's unlikely. We heard German Chancellor Olaf Scholz yesterday say that such a sudden cutoff would throw the European economy into recession because it's so reliant on Russian energy. However, they may reach a compromise today by which the EU will phase out just oil and coal imports from Russia, not touch the gas imports, but just oil and coal. The EU is much less reliant on Russian oil than it is on Russian gas, and it's easier to get other sources of oil than it is for gas. So those will be the key things to watch out for today.